with contracts and the difficulty in contracts, that we are in a right to work state. That means that you don't have
This
to
is a
join
demonstration
you don't have
of
to join
Ustream
You
Producer.
do this because you want to, right? Is that correct? Yes. And you see the importance of it. But one of the reasons that our organization has been so successful is the fact that we have been able to provide excellent service to our membership. There's never going to be a need, an issue, or a concern that we're not going to address. Part and parcel in being able to do that is to having an excellent legal counsel to advise us and to help you whenever you need that additional legal representation. And Brian Landry has been with us since Chet was a
This
pup.
is a demonstration of
And
Ustream
has
Producer.
provided that to this organization, and he's here today to talk to you, and I'll jump in where necessary. I doubt it'll be necessary, but to talk to you about your rights, and please, you know, if you got a question, concern, you know, make sure you mention it. Don't sit in silence.
And I think the staff may interject too about things that we hear in the office a lot, just as far as, you know, knowing your rights and being preventative.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, we'll do this kind of town hall style a little bit. I think
This
see.
is a demonstration
Again, as Jackie
of
said, I'm
Ustream
Brian Landry. I've been
Producer.
representing the Red River United Cattle Federation, Bossier. Before that, I've done representation of other federations around the north part of the state. I want to thank you all for being here, and thank you all for what you do for the children of cattle, including my own children. My children have come up through ACC.
This is a demonstration of Ustream Producer.
Well, thank you, and I want to thank you guys for inviting me. I'm gonna, I can hear myself speak, so that's always disconcerting to me, and probably now I understand how aggravating it is for you guys to listen to my voice. So let me do it this way. I'm going to do the easy part of a presentation on a legislative session coming.
This is a
and then I'm gonna,
demonstration of
introduce
Ustream Producer.
our legislative director, Mary Patricia Ray, who's the brains behind all of this. So let me set it up this way. I am really happy that you guys are having this meeting today. I want to say again thank you for having me, because Red River is the state federation's largest local. And that means you all have a great deal of influence over politics in the state. And
This is a demonstration of
think
Ustream
we're gonna
Producer.
need your help quite a bit this session. So let me jump right in. Here's my pitch. In 350 school board
Hold on, Steve, for 2 seconds.
in Canada, we're going to elect new school board members. The reason I'm saying that, start planning now. That's how kind of ahead of the game I think you have to be. It's 113 days to our legislative session.
This is a demonstration
So
of
113
Ustream
days
Producer.
from where we sit now, we're going to be at the Capitol, and we're going to be depending upon the work that's been done between those 2 dates, now and then. And then to keep this thing really relevant to you, in 8 days, we're going to have the LFT convention. So the legislative agenda that Mayor Patricia talks with you about, and the items that we'll be tackling, we have to talk about it right now as if it is a draft.
This is
Until
a
we get to the
demonstration
convention,
of
until the
Ustream
delegates
Producer.
all agree that this is the direction we're going, it maintains its
This is a demonstration of Ustream Producer. This is a demonstration of Ustream Producer. This is a demonstration of Ustream Producer.
We got it now. Okay.
Okay, I'll try not
This
to
is a
delay
demonstration
myself.
of Ustream Producer.
So anyway,
So anyway.
Maybe don't worry about the
yeah,
pictures.
just making sure you catch that. We're going to once more be dealing with the funding of public education. It's reconnecting. The funding of public education through the minimum foundation program. Once again, we're going to be fighting to get the monies that were in the MFP this year and have additional funds added to it. But PSRP and support workers.
This is a demonstration of
It's
Ustream
hard to even
Producer.
say even more important, but it's even more important to you guys that the MFP is fully funded and with additional funds, because you guys are the first individuals that are going to be affected when there is a shortfall.
Dramatic.
MFP wasn't satisfactory for you guys either, because you were left out of the one-time pay raise, and it was up to respective districts to decide whether or not they could afford to provide MFP, the PSRPs
This
with
is a
any
demonstration
funds.
of
We'll be fighting
Ustream Producer.
again this year to increase the dollars in the MFP and to try to make sure that there is equal division of funds. And that's going to take all of you guys helping us do that. In relative to the session, and also LFT is going to be in court over Act 1. Now, Act 1 was the legislation that most people, we are reconnecting with.
We got this.
Most people, I said on December 20th.
This is a
that's why I
demonstration
was
of
reconnecting.
Ustream
On
Producer.
December 20th, we're going to be in court in Baton Rouge. Again, over what is known as Act 1, which most folks consider just to be about teacher tenure and about the reforms with the school boards and the rest. I'll let MP touch on the particulars on the lawsuit. I'm going to tell you why that's an important thing for you guys. Act 1 also deals with compensation and the devaluing of experience in regard to the amount of money you earn. Meaning that all
This is a
personnel
demonstration
and
of
all
Ustream
compensation
Producer.
decisions were to be made based upon performance. So for teachers, you hear often about value added and a scientific way to assess how well one does one's job. That's central to the media's conversation about Act 1. But it also touches every one of you guys, because if the law were to stand and move forward unaffected, then layoffs,
This is a demonstration
reductions in
of
force,
Ustream
how
Producer.
you move on a salary schedule will be based upon someone's subjective assessment on how well you do your job. Ultimately, what we're dealing with are with folks that do not believe that experience in your position has any real value. So as that will go to court on December 20th, it will also be subject to discussion on in the legislature once again. And I'll close with two pieces, and then I'm going to let MP MP.
This is a
Patricia
demonstration
into
of
the-
Ustream
to the-
Producer.
We're also going to be fighting once again over pensions. Just remember, only about 21% of the workforce right now has a pension as included as a benefit of employment. The majority of where the 21%, the vast majority of that percentage are individuals who work in public institutions like schools. You have a defined benefit program that guarantees after a number of years
This
that
is a
you will receive
demonstration
a
of
pension
Ustream
regardless how well
Producer.
the market does or how poorly the market does. There are those that want to eliminate the defined benefit pension plan. So the reforms we've been dealing with over the last several years have really been common to almost every other state, and it's all been about eliminating the defined benefit and basically replacing it with a defined contribution plan. Whether it says it or not in the actual bills,
This is a
that's what the
demonstration
battle's
of
all about.
Ustream
So
Producer.
we're part of a pension coalition, a national pension coalition, to continue to fight and push back, and we've been very successful over the last 5 years.
This is a demonstration of Ustream Producer. This is a demonstration of Ustream Producer.
Alabama, Florida, they want to eliminate payroll deduct to eliminate the voice of employees. In a number of the states I mentioned, they have collective bargaining. They have a lot more power than we had. But now they're on the ropes, unable to represent members because they're spending all of their time in the collection of dues as an accounts receivable organization. So once again, that will be a battle for us.
This is a demonstration
Now,
of
once you all-
Ustream Producer.
I'm happy to explain more about what that means, but I know you all have limited time. So there's the session with our 113 days to go and 8 days to our convention. I'm turning it over to MP Mary Patricia, who, like I said, I mean it when I say it, she is a very passionate individual who fights very hard and non-compromising at that, at the session. So with that, MP.
Summer, I'm gonna.
This is a demonstration of Ustream Producer.
Our signal a little better so we won't have interruptions, okay?
Alright, go for it.
Okay, as Mary Patricia calls, I guess I need to just. So thank you all for
Thanks,
hearing
Dave.
from me, and I look forward to seeing those of y'all that are at the convention.
This is a demonstration of
Hey
Ustream
everybody,
Producer.
how are you guys doing? Good. I am going to turn down the volume on my computer so that I won't hear my voice echoing and talk slower than I need to. So if something goes wrong, wait, because I won't be able to hear you. So I wanted to take just a minute, for those of you who have not met me, to introduce myself. I'm Mary Patricia. Steve told you that I'm our legislative director, our political director. And so
This is
it's
a
my
demonstration
job to
of Ustream
help us
Producer.
design our policy initiatives, help us communicate to members about which of our big goals are going to be the most likely to be doable, to set expectations with our membership, and to make sure that I give them all the tools they need to be able to be engaged with policymakers, both at the state legislature, at Bessie, at their local school boards, all those places. So I wanted to take just
This
a
is a
minute
demonstration
to tell you
of
about our
Ustream
legislative
Producer.
agenda, which Steve mentioned is going to be a draft at this time because it has not been approved by the delegates to our annual convention. We traditionally split our legislative agenda by 5 topics, and those 5 topics cover the committees that meet at our convention. And the reason we do that is because our legislative agenda is kind of like a set of goals that we have for the year.
This is a demonstration
Then
of
we
Ustream Producer.
introduce resolutions for approval by our convention so that LFT staff can be authorized by our membership to go and carry out specific activities in furtherance of those goals we set in the legislative agenda. But this year, our legislative agenda has an added focus that we're hoping to infuse into our messaging at the state and local level. As you may or may not know, AFT's
This is a
big
demonstration
push right
of
now
Ustream Producer.
is a message of reclaiming the promise of public education. So this is the cover page of our legislative agenda. And what we've done is we've refocused our efforts policy-wise and in terms of our strategic engagement to address the goals in K-12 education of creating safe, welcoming places, cultivating well-prepared and supported teachers and staff, developing engaging curriculum, and ensuring wraparound services that
This is a demonstration of Ustream Producer. 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 This is a demonstration of Ustream Producer.
So, under the Affordable Care Act, many people are able to get subsidies to buy their health insurance. There's now going to be a gap in Louisiana that won't exist in many other states who did do Medicaid expansion, who get subsidies under the Affordable Care Act, and those who are, for lack of a better term, poor enough to qualify for Medicaid. So what that means is
This is a
whole goal
demonstration
Affordable Care
of
Act, right,
Ustream
was to,
Producer.
make sure that there was no person in the state that was uncovered, that didn't have health insurance. And part of the reason they wanted to do that is to bring down the cost of health care for everybody. So now, because Bobby Jindal turned down $15 billion, and I want to restate that, $1 billion for the state of Louisiana, we are going to have to continue to cover everyone who falls in that gap. So when they don't get the primary care they need, they get very sick and wait till they need to go to the emergency room. It's going to
This
increase
is a
the cost of
demonstration
healthcare for
of
everybody in the
Ustream
state.
Producer.
It's going to increase the cost of the premiums for people like us that are already paying for our health care through our employer or through a private exchange. So we have to continue to educate our legislators on the impact of that to not only our members, but to our students, because we cannot continue to improve outcomes for students and promote public education without our students getting the right primary care, right?
This
So
is
we
a
have plan to
demonstration of
introduce,
Ustream Producer.
an alternative to the Recovery School District, because we know it's not working, right? And it comes into our districts, it takes over our schools, it takes away the physical assets that belong to the district. And what that does is it immediately makes the rest of the school district worse off. In many cases, it diverts local tax dollars to places that it was never supposed to go. It means that there'll likely be a charter school moving in.
This is a
that has
demonstration
selective
of
admissions
Ustream
process,
Producer.
And it will basically make the letter grade of the other schools go down overnight. So we're going to introduce a system that will be an alternative to the RSD. So after a school has been failing such that it qualifies for state takeover, instead, a committee of parents and staff members would have a little bit of oversight over what the school board does for a few years, and the school board would be responsible for seeking assistance for wraparound
This is a
services
demonstration
at the school
of
site.
Ustream
So
Producer.
like an expansion of our on-site healthcare that we have in some schools and districts right now through our federally qualified healthcare clinics. It's a free solution to our issues with the RSD, and it helps school districts keep their physical assets. So what we try to do is incentivize it for everybody. The FQHCs can do on-site care, and that means everything from behavioral health, so they can help us with our new bullying law requirements and everything by providing on-site behavioral health
This
services.
is a demonstration of
Dental,
Ustream Producer.
vision, and primary care for all of our students. What this will do basically is give schools a few extra years to address what really causes obstacles to student growth, in terms of poverty and hunger and lack of parental involvement, instead of the school district losing their resources. So sticking to the stuff that will matter to you all most, Steve let you know a lot about our battle with payroll deduction.
This is a
And
demonstration
I want to
of
take just a
Ustream
moment,
Producer.
not to repeat anything that he said, but to give our PSRPs a special thank you. The reason that I want to thank you guys is you, and I don't want to offend any of our teacher corps members, but you guys are our strongest activists. When we need people
know
at the
that.
Capitol that can explain to our legislators from the perspective of a real person
This is a demonstration
like
of
to
Ustream
be
Producer.
in public schools every day, you guys do it best. And your personal stories about your choice to be members of our organization really helps shape what our legislators decide about whether or not we should continue to qualify to get payroll deductions. And so please, consider that as we face this issue in the next session, we are gonna need your help again. And that will mean calls to your legislators, that will mean meetings with them, that'll mean,
This is a
in some
demonstration
cases,
of
coming to the Capitol
Ustream
and all that.
Producer.
We'll keep you up to date about it. But you guys do a really great job of pulling on their heartstrings and putting it in terms that aren't policy terms and they aren't, out in the weeds, but just really putting a face on the members of our organization. We're going to continue to work on sick and sabbatical leave issues that have been ongoing for a few years. A couple years ago, there was an attempt to take all sick leave
This is
away.
a demonstration
And we were
of
able to
Ustream
amend the bill at the last
Producer.
minute to save it, although it had some other consequences which should be good if you read the law the way that I do, but many districts have chosen to read it another more creative way that will save them some money. And we're gonna continue to work on those issues. Steve told you already that we're gonna be fighting for fully funding the cost of education so that we can recruit and retain the best PSRPs in our schools. And we can't do that if we can't afford the best. If we can't afford to
This is
keep
a
you guys.
demonstration of Ustream
We'll be
Producer.
still fighting our issues on vouchers and on charters and all the things that rob public schools of the funding that they're entitled to as well. We're gonna be working on an effort to give more oversight to the rules that Bessie makes. Right now, they are in a state of lawlessness. They do not follow the procedure that they're supposed to when they're passing rules. As you might imagine, they don't seem to care.
This is a
when we tell them
demonstration
that.
of
So
Ustream
we're
Producer.
gonna work on making sure the legislature has a little bit more oversight over what they're doing over there. And I want to tell you a little bit about some of the specific resolutions at our convention that address PSRP concerns. I told you one of them will be a resolution that requires whenever there's a mandatory pay raise for teachers that there also be one for all school personnel. We are going to have one authored by Red River United that will address issues with
This is a demonstration
discipline
of
on school
Ustream
buses.
Producer.
And we are going to have one that will address some issues that we're having in many districts where they're short-staffed and instead of calling for a substitute teacher to cover a class when they really need one, they'll ask a PSRP to step in. Even though that's totally inappropriate because that's not your job, we are going to work to make sure that if you do that, if you do step in as in the role of what would otherwise be a substitute teacher,
This is
that
a
you all are
demonstration
paid
of Ustream
at a
Producer.
rate equal to or greater than what a substitute teacher would have been paid for that same work. That doesn't mean that we support using PSRPs in place of substitute teachers. It means that we want to make sure that you all are compensated for the services that you provide if you choose to do that. So those are the ones that impact PSRPs. We have one other one that's going to be offered at the convention that will.
This is a
that will ensure
demonstration
that in
of
some districts
Ustream
where
Producer.
PSRPs are being mandated to purchase certain materials out of their very first paycheck. So for instance, if you're working a food service, some districts are requiring that you purchase a set of special shoes that may be very, very expensive out of your first check and may represent over half of your very first paycheck with the district. we're gonna have a resolution that will authorize LFT to take a position that, those unfunded mandates on PSRPs, be mitigated.
This is a
through whatever kind of
demonstration of
compromise
Ustream
we can work
Producer.
out. So those are the big things, and before I open it up to questions and or let y'all go, I just wanted to show you behind me is Cassandra Lee's door. And it has a bunch of these decals on it, and so every time we walk past Cassandra's door as a staff, every single day we are thinking about better ways to represent our PSRPs, our most vocal, awesome
This is a demonstration
lobbyists
of
that we could
Ustream
ever possibly
Producer.
have. And I know that in this swirl of controversy about Common Core and teacher evaluations and all these things that I can only imagine that it must feel that sometimes y'all's needs get lost in the mix. But I want to reassure you that every day we wake up and we come into this office and we never, ever, ever forget about you.
Thank you, MP. Do I have a question? Can you clarify where we stand as far as paternity, maternity leave? Moving forward.
Yes,
This
here's
is
where
a
we
demonstration
stand.
of Ustream Producer.
Right now, every employee has the right to take maternity leave unpaid at their option. Every employee has the ability to utilize their regular sick leave as well as their extended sick time, which is available to them and accrues at a 6-year rate. So every 6 years you get a certain amount of extended sick time that you can take. If you exhaust
This is a demonstration
all of that
of
sick
Ustream
time,
Producer.
including your regular sick time and your extended sick time, you can utilize an extra 30 days of what is called extended sick time for maternity. I will tell you that among states in the South, our leave policy is actually better than most other states. Some people would like it if you could use the 30 days of extended sick time for maternity up front.
This is a demonstration
and
of
reserve
Ustream
your other
Producer.
extended sick time for other uses. I too wish that were the case. But what I want to make sure that you'll understand, and I hope that will answer the question. I'm happy to clarify some more.
No.
But
Wait, I thought we were doing a resolution, that when, whenever a, parent had used their, leave time up, that they would be, we were gonna do 7 additional days. What happened to that resolution?
This is
we
a
have
demonstration
a
of
resolution
Ustream
that will
Producer.
include the goal set out in Patrick Jefferson's bill from last year. And in that bill, what you just talked about exists. So that will be in a resolution. But what I want to kind of communicate to everybody is that a special kind of leave for maternity or paternity would be considered an unfunded mandate.
This is a
to school
demonstration
districts
of
unless we were
Ustream
able to find
Producer.
a separate appropriation for it. We will work to do that, but the bill that we will file in response to the resolution that we're gonna have at the convention will come with a fiscal note on it, and it will have a very high cost.
Well, remember though, MP, that you're forcing them to use up all their leave, all their current and accumulated days in order to go into maternity. So when they're finished with that, if they have to take their child
This
to
is
the
a
doctor,
demonstration
they
of
go into an
Ustream
unpaid
Producer.
status. And that was never,
Yes.
and I don't believe that was ever the intent of the legislature. Because you're gonna force a mom for any type of wellness care, and anybody that knows anything about having a baby knows that you've got to take that child to the doctor, on a monthly basis. And you would be forcing those moms to go into an unpaid status and to break their service.
Yep, and MP did a good job answering it, Jackie, and I think I will miss this.
This is a
You're right, it
demonstration
wasn't the
of
intent the
Ustream
legislature
Producer.
to do that, to force them to do just what you described. However, at the same time, I'll say this to the legislature. It wasn't their intent either, and it won't be, to pass on to the local school districts the additional cost. But when we get into the fight legislatively, it becomes a matter of appropriations. and there has to be appropriated funds for it, or they're not gonna mandate the boards do it. That's what I think I'm not trying to put words in her mouth, but I think that's what.
This
what
is a
she's
demonstration
saying to
of
you.
Ustream Producer.
Also, I would add that, there are ways to clarify the language of the current sick leave statutes to remedy this problem in a way that would not come with a cost. The very, very dangerous part about attempting to do that is, once we pass that bill out of committee, we cannot control who offers an amendment to it that once again attempts to take all paid
Okay.
sick leave.
I
This
get
is
you
a
on that,
demonstration
and
of
I'm
Ustream
certainly
Producer.
going to recognize your voice of authority in that. But I want us to recognize the fact that this is a profession primarily made up of women. And anytime we let our legislative body ignore that, that is a slap in the face of every woman in this state. Personally, I find it very unacceptable, and I personally feel like that has to be addressed. And I think what happened to us 2 years ago, going on to 3 years now,
This is a
slap in the
demonstration
face
of
to
Ustream
women.
Producer.
and I think that
Yes, ma'am, and I agree with you, and I think that, it's also important to remember that every single school district in this state has the option to provide unlimited sick leave to anyone.
Well, then
that
say
may
that,
desire
then,
otherwise.
then let's say that, let's say that we're not gonna push it legislatively, that the recommendation will be that it will be pushed locally. I'm okay
Oh,
with
no, I
that.
think we're gonna push it
No, we
both
are gonna
ways.
push it.
I think we're gonna push it both ways, and I think that, your frustration is, well-founded, especially since.
This is a demonstration
it
of
seems
Ustream
that-
Producer.
You all have experienced a lot more problems with this since the change to the law in 2012.
I don't know what you, Iffy, I don't know what you can see, there's a lady that's in here, right here, stand up. We had to go through a myriad of things in order for her, because she's a PSRP, to get.
Wait, it's coming.
This is a demonstration
hear
of
you.
Ustream Producer.
Okay,
It's just our video.
and what did you have to go through in order to get your leave? Loop after loop?
Oh, yeah, I mean, they took me through the ringer. I mean, basically they were saying that I didn't qualify for it, I guess.
And so we really had to take the language and have her doctor write that she was having a surgical procedure, that she could not come back to work for 8 weeks. We couldn't,
Right.
we
This
couldn't
is a
say she
demonstration
was
of
having a baby.
Ustream Producer.
Sure, and I think that that has a lot to do with your school boards up there interpreting the law in a way that is incorrect, instead of the law itself not being, written in a way that provides the leave almost exactly the way that it did prior to 2012, except it adds 30 extra days at the end if you've exhausted it for maternity. That's how almost every other district in the state has decided to read that bill, and that's how I read
This
that
is a
bill.
demonstration
Then
of
you're gonna-
Ustream
please
Producer.
Please send me just at least a couple of names of people that are interpreting the way you are, so that I can look what they're doing, and maybe I can replicate it here.
Sure, like I said, almost any other superintendent in the state is interpreting this bill in a way, I'm sorry, it's not a bill anymore, the law, in a way that means that their employees get the leave in exactly the same amounts. Now, the doctor's note has to have different language on it, and in every other district, we've just told
This is a
patients that are having
demonstration
trouble
of
getting the doctor to
Ustream
write a
Producer.
note to physically write out the words that have to be in the note. And you and I've had a lot of conversations. about
Yeah,
this,
sure,
so I won't go
there's
into
another
it
question
now.
here. There's another question here. Yes, what's your question?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna have to have an emergency,
C-section?
no, hysterectomy in December. And, was told that if I used it, I'd have to use all my sick days I had, / personal days, and then for me to stay out just even a couple more days, I would have to
This is a
use
demonstration
all
of
of my
Ustream Producer.
extended leave time, the extra extended leave time, or I could not get paid for any of the days.
Do you know what the balance of your extended sick time was
Is-
at the time you were gonna have the surgery? Did
It
you
was
have
gonna be
all
about
of your
2
extended
weeks.
sick time?
That's it. I don't remember,